Good afternoon. My name is Andy Drennan. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Food Processing Suppliers Association. It is our pleasure today to put on this webinar with our partner, Valor 180 Skills. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Quell from Valor, and he can get us started. It's all yours, Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here, and what a great organization to reach out and offer some additional training. So a little background, Valor and 180 obviously are, well, not obviously, it's two different companies kind of that we merged earlier this year. So what Valor's claim to fame was putting together digitizing work instructions. So if you have unique processes or equipment, which I bet a lot of you do, most of those work instructions or directions were written by an engineer a long time ago that a lot of people don't take the time to read. So what we did is take the YouTube concept and we come in and film that process or whatever that work instruction is and turn it into a very brief work instruction on video format and make it competency-based learning, which is really the best way that employees or students learn. What that also does, it captures your institutional knowledge. That way, if your best operator quits, gets sick, or just doesn't show up one day, the next guy can come over to an iPad and start learning his job in minutes. So that's part of what we do. The second part would seem logical that we have merged with 180 Skills, which is based out of Indianapolis. And they already have an established, about 750 course catalogs combined with what we've already created with some of our food processing vendors with the food safety catalog, which I think you can see. So altogether, we have about 850 online courses that we can offer to, in this case, to all the members of this organization. And it's a tremendous benefit because, we charge based on, sometimes a head count, or sometimes we can bundle a package. So we really have a very in-depth and what I would say a world-class training modules that, again, teach competency-based testing, but also we use animation in a lot of our trainings, both the customized for your particular plant and for our standard standard catalog. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we have translation services. So most of our catalog is bilingual, English and Spanish. If we do custom catalog, we can plug in any language if your particular plants or your equipment is going into a population that has segments of the population that maybe don't speak English or Spanish. We can really take that into any language in the world. Obviously, it'd be difficult to take 850 different languages or 850 courses and translate those into a lot of different languages, but upon demand, we can work on that. So that being said, since this is very food processing, I wanted to bring in and introduce my product manager, Sammy Attia, who is actually one of the founders of Valor, and just spend today talking about some of the products that we have, some of the specific training courses in the food safety catalog, and how we got here and where we're going from there. And then we'll open it up for a few more questions. And we would love to work with each company that has interest in upskilling your workforce. So Sammy, if you're on, if you want to say a couple of words about our food safety catalog.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Sorry, I can't get my webcam to work right now, so unfortunately, I can't show my face, but hopefully you can all hear me just fine. If you can see my screen here, I have kind of a list of courses that we've developed specifically for the food industry. So one of our very first clients back in 2017, 2018 was actually a pork plant. And they kind of gave us this idea that, any plant in the food industry, pork plants, beef plants, chicken plants, stuff like that, their employees need to have a thorough understanding of the regulations and, some of the rules in that industry. They're actually required to. And so they actually gave us this idea that we need to build out some of these, regulatory training requirements into, as part of our catalog. So it started out, if you can see my screen, it started out as just 3 or 4 of these courses, and within the next few months, all of these that you see here will actually be done. So we're about tripling the size of our food safety catalog, right? And we made this content in collaboration with some of these, pork processors, beef processors, as well as a couple of auditors that, built concepts into our training that were specifically targeted to try and help plants, comply with these regulations and basically help them pass an audit if needed, right? And so this is what we've got so far, and we're adding more to it constantly. By next year, this will probably be even bigger than this, but we're very proud of it, and it's actually one of the most thorough and in-depth food safety training tracks that you'll probably find out there. We've actually, taken a look at some of our top competitors. We've taken a look at their catalogs in this space, and we've compared them to ours, and we just kind of made sure that ours went the extra mile, and that ours is not just applicable to only 1 or 2 industries within the food space, but to pretty much all of them. And so, we even took into consideration, for example, you'll see this BRC and SQF fundamentals. We ran into a number of companies, especially in the pork industry, that, they shipped a lot of their food overseas. And so they had to comply with the BRC regulations, and they had difficulty getting enough training for that. So we're like, okay, we'll make it. And so we went ahead and integrated that into our catalog as well as SQF. And we've even got a couple of others that aren't on this list yet that we're considering. One of them, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is SMETA or SMETA, one of those. But essentially, we're constantly on the lookout for, for new training requirements within the food industry. We've got people actually scanning the environment, taking a look at the federal regulations and how they're changing. Since COVID happened, it seems like food plants are under a little bit more scrutiny, a little bit more pressure to pass audits. We've actually noticed a big uptick in the number of audits that happen annually at food plants. And that actually was part of the reason why we decided to accelerate building this catalog. We were actually going to spread the build of this out over 2 years, but we said, nah, let's get it done this summer. And so, yeah, hopefully that gives everybody some background. This is just so this is our food safety stuff, but like Jamie said, we do have around 850 other modules. Maintenance, industrial maintenance is another big one that's applicable to the food industry because, of course, there's a ton of machinery, and there's of course, maintenance mechanics in just about every single food plant that need to work on this machinery. And another one coming down the pipe that I will go ahead and let everybody know about is we're actually building a track for ammonia, what is it called? Ammonia technician training, which isn't applicable maybe to every food plant, but a lot of the places that we went to, they've got on-site cold storage facilities that, of course, use ammonia. And so we said, why not? We'll go ahead and build training for that too. So that's another one that we're working on that will also fit pretty nicely into the food industry. So yeah, that's really my spiel for that. We've got a whole lot more than that I'd love to share with you, but I think for now this is a pretty good start.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sammy. I learned a little bit myself there. So as you can see, our catalog goes pretty deep, and to reiterate, everything that we've created has been with industry partners. We have subject matter experts that have years of experience, and of course a lot of this training has been tested, and we have some pretty loyal customers, and we really like to see more so than just spreading it around. But hearing those great stories about how your plant has grown from the training, how you've upskilled your workforce, if there's been any promotions or pay raises with your clients, and those are the kind of stories that we want to share within the manufacturing world, as we try to cover all aspects of the industry. So, Andy, I don't know if you can open up the lines for any questions, or if there's any chat questions out there. Would be glad to field any particulars that they have.
Yeah, Jamie, that's a good point. I want to encourage any of our listeners right now. You've got the chat function, so please go ahead and submit any questions there. Jamie, there is one question there already. You've been, you and Sammy have been talking about food safety. Can you just cover some of the other areas that are included in the Valor 180 Skills catalog?
Absolutely. And thank you for that question. That's a great question. I thought maybe we'd spend the whole time talking about food safety, but yeah, of our 850 courses, we have about 25 different verticals just within our industry technical training that incorporates anything from intro to manufacturing or safety, which, you know, we can get into a lot of the OSHA type trainings. And then a lot of the manufacturing specific. So we have a whole welding category. Maintenance tech is one of our, thank you, Sammy, for pulling that new screen up. So our maintenance tech program is actually one of the more common ones, because maintenance guys are hard to find. And if you do have somebody, you know, there's not a whole lot of training out there in the world that upskills them. So you can see with the kind of the subcategories off to the right there, with the tools, measurement, which is really something important. And then it cross references over to some of the electrical, which we have a whole vertical with that. Welding, we can go down that line pretty deep. CNC machining, you know, robotics is robotics and pneumatics are certainly big categories that you know are part of the future of manufacturing, which we hope to build on as well. And then, you know, within these categories, Sammy, I think page 2 on the maintenance tech, we have a pathway or a track that we like to work with companies. And this, you know, this is one example of something that you could do in the maintenance level track, where we say, okay, you know, you've got some experience, obviously, there's more you could learn. Let's go through the first track. Or if you've got somebody you're bringing into the company that probably already knows how to use hand tools and measurement, well, then, you know, keep scrolling down a little bit. Maybe we start him off at a level 2. And then within these different job tracks, you see the little ticks on the right, 1, 2, 3, that's your job track, you know, offering them some sort of motivation to get to that next level. And then he could be a certified level 4 maintenance tech, which, you know, has a little bit of pride to it. And as a company, you can offer, you know, a pay raise or a better parking spot or whatever it is. So, you know, a lot of companies really need to look at a growth pattern for your employees, because employees leave for 1 of 3 reasons, right? In manufacturing, we know that some people walk through the door and they have no idea what to expect. So some of these intro to courses gives them an idea of, what am I really walking into in a manufacturing job? I didn't know there was going to be all this heavy machinery. I didn't know that, I never heard of a lean process. And I really don't know what all the measuring tools are. So an intro to class gives somebody, a new employee that maybe doesn't have any manufacturing background, eases them into that position and hopefully gets them excited into it. On the other hand, if you're, you know, recruiting people from your competitors or from other manufacturing industries, a lot of people leave, one, because they don't have a growth plan. And, you know, what am I doing here? I'm just, you know, pulling a lever, I'm welding the same thing every day. But then to give them an education and a growth plan, and hopefully to reward them for that type of work. And of course, the number one reason is people don't leave their companies, they leave their boss. So we are really good in the manufacturing world about doing the same thing we've always done. And one of those processes is that we promote the best widget maker, right? Okay, you've got a level 5 maintenance tech and he's really good about all these technical skills, but he probably doesn't even like people. That's probably why he's good at his job. On the other hand, an idiot like me who's not really good with hand tools or doing things on his own, but I love working with people. I even like problem solving. So we have a whole leadership course that, what we call soft skills, which we would really like to get away from that term and just focus on leadership skills. And whether you have identified somebody who is a good worker that you think might be a good manager. On the other hand, maybe the guy who doesn't work well with his hands or doesn't, he's always talking to other people, maybe he's the guy you do want for a leadership or a safety position that has great communication skills. So coming up with a pathway for somebody that can become a good boss, or at least deal with situations, or be a good communicator or problem solver. These are all things that every manufacturing company just assumes out of their employees, but without putting them through a good job tract, you're setting yourself up for failure. So, the conversation I hear most of the time within manufacturing is, we're out recruiting, we just can't find people. Keep the people you have. Then your recruiting problem gets minimalized. So I ask companies what their turnover ratio is, but more than that, what's your retention of your employees, right? So as a manufacturing consultant, before I came to work with Valor, I used to tour plants all the time. And believe it or not, I've been in manufacturing plants that have all their employees under 35 years old with zero turnover, and they're meeting demand in a manufacturing environment. So there's a way to do it. But again, a lot of us do the same things over and over again without, thinking what your neighbors are doing or what's successful out there. So great question. I know I overkilled that answer, but we have lots and lots of courses, and I hope this gives you an idea of what's out there. And Sammy, keep this one up. So on the right of, these quote unquote leadership skills, a lot of what we're hearing today is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's something that we are definitely pushing, because quite frankly, we need to find anybody out there in the manufacturing world that has or can develop skills, right? So the typical process is to chase down, put an ad on, an online search engine, or to do a job fair, and those really aren't the populations of people that are looking for manufacturing jobs. Yeah, we need to, and we focus on some of the vocational schools, technical colleges, and try and get our training out that way. But, when you think about recruiting, looking out to all different areas of the population, veterans and, refugees and whatever, Hispanic chamber is a good one. Women in manufacturing is something else that needs to be looked at. So, there's a lot of classes that your upper management can take and just become more knowledgeable about the manufacturing industry in general. So I'll take a breath and wait for the next question. Thank you for that one.
Jamie, it's not so much a question, but a comment I'd like to make here. I really love, I think one of the things that your company has done so well is how you've organized the different skills courses. Because obviously in a catalog that has 850 courses, you can get inundated with all of the content that's there. And so by breaking it out into these learning paths, it really is much easier to identify the courses that can help your employees. So I think
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a real strength of this program. One other that I would like to bring up is the way FPSA works with Valor and 180 Skills, specifically with our members, because if we go back to the path for maintenance that you showed before, that was very logically spelled out. But what happens if I'm a member company? Yes, I want my maintenance people learning these skills, but at the same time, I need them to learn customer service. Okay, so what happens is the member company contacts Anne Marie at FPSA, and she puts together the portal for the user, and she will select these courses that you see on the screen right now. She will also select the customer service courses that the supervisor would like their employees to take, so that when John Doe is going on to the portal to take his courses, that he doesn't have to go looking. They're all right there in front of him, and he can do it at his own pace, which is something that our members have told us they love. Now, one other thing I do want to share with our members is that we have arrangements with some of our members that, okay, company XYZ has these 5 employees that are taking the training courses, and they ask Anne-Marie for a report after each quarter, or either a quarter or each month in some cases, so that the supervisor can keep track of the training that's going on. And when an employee, let's say they're a little hesitant, or they haven't taken their courses, the supervisor can check in with them and say, hey, you know, you're supposed to get all of these courses done this year. You're falling behind. Let's get on top of that. So it helps them manage this program much better than most programs. And FPSA is there to work with you to make that happen.
Yeah, great point. And so are we. So even if Anne-Marie, you know, she has a pretty good feel for how this program works and what a good, you know, pathway would be for your particular company's training needs, we can jump in and help with any of those, you know, off the wall questions, or assist in any way too. So we're here to help. We want, you know, bottom line is we want the American manufacturing to get bigger and more successful. And you know, a lot of you probably know this, that we're waiting on a lot of jobs to become reshored, right? So there just aren't the skilled laborers out there yet. So we're working on that, but we want to do everything we can to get you to that point in your particular company, because quite frankly, we're all competing for the same labor source. So the easier we can make it for your companies, the more we all grow. So great point, Andy.
Jamie, one question. The test at the end of each course.
Mm-hmm.
What is passing for those courses?
Great question. Yeah, getting it right. So when I talk about competency testing, a lot of your online training that you'll see from some of our competitors just want you to get through it and make it easy and happy, but that's not really a learning module. So when I talk about competency-based testing, and you're taking electrical safety, for example, you know, do these 2 wires go together? What about these 2 wires? What about these 2 wires? Ding, you passed, you're competent, you learned, now you move on to the next module. So it's not, you know, in sexual harassment training, did you watch this? Yes. Is it bad to touch somebody inappropriately? Yes. It's more than that, right? We want to know that you paid attention and that you didn't just click next as many times, as quick as you could to get to the end of the chapter and get a fake certificate. So, you know, it's different within all the courses. I haven't taken all 850, but I will say that every one is required to pass, or we can set it up so that it's required that you pass to go on to that next level of courses. Sammy, did you have any other opinion or comment on the competency-based testing at the end of every class?
Yeah, so what Jamie said basically sums it up. Also, there's a lot of, we can make changes as needed as well. So typically, while you're taking the module, so for example, introduction to welding right here, there's a couple of like practice questions within the module that aren't graded, just to, you know, keep you paying attention, keep you engaged. Then after you complete the module, there's a test, you know, and the test can be anywhere from 10 questions to 35 questions. It really depends on how long the module is. And typically it's set to pass fail. So like Jamie said, you have to get 100 on it. However, you know, depending on the skill, some companies, you can actually change that to where, like, say maybe 80% is passing. So for example, if it's a skill that's kind of like, I don't know, not quite as important to them, like, I hate to use this as an example, but let's say, like, I don't know, customer service. They're okay with somebody getting an 80 on that. But when it comes to welding, they want you to get 100 on every single thing that you take. Otherwise, you're not moving on. So there is definitely some adaptability. You know, there's some settings that we can change. Typically, it's pass fail, but our system is very customizable. And hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, so is that to say that if I'm trying to pass a robotics course and I need to get 100, but I get 8 out of 10, I can take it again. Maybe I do worse and get 7 out of 10. I can take the test again without taking the whole course, and finally I get 10 out of 10. Now I can move on to the next phase. Is that a
Yes.
potential scenario? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the manager would see, wow, Jamie struggled on this one. He took 4 times to get through intro to robotics. Maybe this isn't his strong suit. On the other hand, he did pretty well with the safety stuff because seems to like that a little more. So now you can kind of read into the competency or really just the desire or the the will of those taking the tests, and how frequent did they take those tests, right? Did I pass 5 classes in a week, or did it take me a month? And now when you start talking about promoting somebody over another person, so just in this pathway, if you say, okay, we've got a maintenance tech supervisor position, you need to be a level 3 person. So if I really want that job, I'm going to work over the weekend and at night, and at least get level 3 by the end of next week. On the other hand, if your competitor is only took 2 or 3 classes, we find out pretty quick who the better candidate is, and you have objective literature on who's got the more skill set to take that position, right? So that's one of the things when we talk about DEI or just promoting the right person with the right skill set. This really plays into part.
Yeah, echoing what you just said, Jamie, we've all seen the statistics that employees are looking for training. Employees are looking for opportunities to advance in their careers. And so companies that provide training to do just that, those are the companies that retain their employees best. So this is a program that helps our members do that at a very cost-effective way. So it's something that I encourage all our members to consider.
And we can emphasize that since you bought a membership for your staff, that it's they're getting off very inexpensively, and training is not cheap, right? So there's a lot of value in this program. So your members definitely once you get in and experiment with it, you'll see that extreme value. So yeah, I would emphasize the very on that, Andy. It's a very good deal for your members.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie, one more question. We talked about the food safety track, and that looks extremely promising. That doesn't really focus on any particular industry segment of the food industry, correct?
Yeah, I'll let Sammy speak to that a little bit more, but you're right. We in Missouri, we have a lot of cows, pigs, and chickens, so there's a lot of food processing in general. We're also starting to see pet food companies grow a lot, which is technically in the food industry. And so we want to make it generalized so a lot of our clients can take any of these courses and hit their requirements. But at the same time, we're growing this catalog, as Sammy mentioned and can elaborate on, into pet food particular compliance issues that we can build on that. So I won't speak out of turn. I'll let Sammy, if you want to say something about that.
Yeah, for sure. So this that you see right here on the screen, this does apply to virtually any food processor, just about chicken, pigs, beef, what have you. We are developing a couple other tracks, like Jamie said. Pet food is another big one that we're planning on releasing a little bit later this year. And another one actually is going to be a little bit more specific to the pork industry. So when that one's complete, essentially there'll be a pork processing job track that will contain all of this training that you see here. And it'll also contain, and I don't have it pulled up because it's not done yet. And I don't like to show things that aren't quite done. So it'll have this training that you see on the screen. It'll also have specific skills training for, I believe it's ham deboning. So it'll have like 3D animations as to how to properly debone ham in order to, better increase your margins as a company. So that's coming for the pork industry, and depending on how well that does, we're considering making a similar type of training for the beef industry, essentially training directed specifically at the, the production workers on the floor, the ones with the knives, using the machinery, making sure that they're getting the most out of their product without any, limiting waste as much as we can with our training. So yeah, pork will be the first one that kind of has this training on screen plus additional skills training, and then we're going to kind of go from there. But also the other thing I should mention is that we are constantly looking for partnerships with companies in industries, especially within food, that can make recommendations to us about, what training are we missing, what should we be building, stuff like that.
Yeah, great point, Sammy. And I'd really just scratch the surface on that. And that would be fantastic to have some conversations with your individual companies, because I know there are a lot of unique equipment makers out there. And let's face it, your service guys can't be everywhere instantaneously. So sometimes creating a maintenance video that you could recharge your customers on how to start it, how to load it, how to fix it, how to shut it down properly is really of great value. And we're working with a lot of OEMs on that exact thing. So, trainers, on the other hand, if you've got a guy who does your training for your new hires or for your clients, those guys get picked off too and get recruited for other jobs and get sick and don't have time to do it. So automating your training is one of the things we really do well. So we would love to partner with people, not only to make content for our library, but to make content for you and your intellectual property, or both, right? So there's a lot of opportunities to grow your company and your specific trainings.
No, I think that is incredibly advantageous to that particular company that's looking to develop content. I think they would be very wise to reach out to us and to Valor to see about how they go about doing that, because it really could help with their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I don't have any more questions here. I think this has been very enlightening. And I think we've got great opportunities here for the members. Anyone interested in learning more about Valor 180 Skills, about perhaps registering for it, please contact FPSA, Andy Drennan, or Anne-Marie Penaranda. We can get you signed up for that. If you're interested in learning more about perhaps developing a course or a training session with Valor, please just reach out to us and we'll be happy to link you up with Jamie and Sammy and the rest of the Valor crew. So I want to thank everybody. Gentlemen, thank you for this webinar. It's been very informative. And we look forward to working with you with these new courses. I'm really looking forward to that pet food track that we're going to be developing.
Yeah, great. Andy, thank you for the opportunity to do this. Let's do it again if we find time. And it's great to reach out and help your membership grow as well. So thanks again for the opportunity.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.